Hey everybody, it's Michael. Hope you're having a great week. Yeah, lots to talk about over the past couple of weeks. We've had some really interesting assignments, haven't we? Let's see. We did a tax fairness discussion forum. You turned in your PowerPoint presentations on demographic change, which grades should be posted later this afternoon. I'm almost finished grading those. We talked about. We had our local meeting about building a biofuels plant, where you got to deal with crazy Governor Fortunato, who was, we'll talk about him in a minute, actually. But what I wanted to do in this brief comment here was just to talk about some of the intersections between these different pieces of the puzzle that we're talking about here. So, we're starting to get into the realm where we're talking about not just population change, but actually how land use can impact populations, and of course how population change can impact land use. And there's something else to this too. I hope that you're seeing that, obviously we can look at the phenomena that are involved here, right? We're talking about how, let's say if we have a growing population and they have a lot of needs, and tastes are changing, and maybe we have a population that's becoming younger and they're becoming more interested in, for example, using alternative fuel sources. Suddenly we might have more of a demand for something like a biofuels plant. So the changing population, and certainly, of course, the proximity of that biofuels plant, the location, is everything, because if it's close to a number of different population centers where the demand is, because demand is situated spatially, right? It's not just out there. There are markets for it, but obviously the farther it has to go, the more it costs to get it there, which gets built into the cost of the actual product, in this case biofuel. So having a nice central location means what? It means it could land right in the middle of a really scenic rural area that happens to be close to a highway, and this could be seen as in a number of different ways. It could be an opportunity for the region, or it could be a threat to the region, right? So this juxtaposition of how population is changing also changes spatial demand, which changes the local economy, which can impact land use. All right, that's the phenomena that's going on. We understand there's all these connections here, and I think throughout the week you've seen a lot of them emerge, which is great. And that's actually been really clear from the work that I've seen. Here's what's funny. Let's come back to Governor Fortunato, okay? This guy is very, I don't know if you noticed this, but he's, guys, for being the governor, he has this really important positional power. He's the governor. And you may have noticed from a couple of comments that were just sort of dropped as subtle hints throughout. I don't know if you looked at each other's discussion forums. He's saying the same things, but he's spinning it in different ways to different people and acting in a way that's very political. And a lot of what the governor is dealing with in this case is that he doesn't want to get involved in local politics per se. But he's looking at this biofuels plant as a huge opportunity for a region that he really cares about, which is the center region. And he's looking primarily at the economic improvements and bringing jobs and innovation to the area, and the political esteem that comes with saying, oh, we created this plant here, how very nice for me and my team, and this happened under my watch. That's great. But of course he's the governor, so he also has to say things like, yes, but we also respect the long tradition of agriculture, and a long tradition of environmental preservation, and we care about these things very much because that is important to a lot of our citizens. Well, it gets very political all of a sudden. So the reason that I sort of threw that in there, I mean, the governor's kind of a fly in the ointment in a way, and I put that in there as a symbol, and you could kind of see this from your interactions with one another, that there are political realities and intersections along with those intersections of the physical phenomena. So here's my question for you. What is a practitioner to do? What is the role of a community development practitioner in this case? Well, I believe, personally, that being a community development practitioner means that you not only can analyze these phenomena critically and independently, you're going to show the intersection of those phenomena. So we're going to understand how maybe demand might be changing. We might understand how land uses are physically going to impact or fail to impact an area. So if we build a biofuels plant, is it really going to have the impact that we think? But what we have to understand too, and this is the important part, being a community development practitioner means also understanding political realities and power relationships as well. And what this derives from is the fact that different groups don't always view the same opportunities as opportunities. They might see them as threats, they might see them as being directly in opposition with what they want to accomplish, or maybe just off scope from their vision. Or, and this is probably the most common one, they may not really care about it that much. Or they might care very passively, but not really take much of a public stance against something. So you end up having an initiative that nobody really comes out to oppose, but people sort of passively oppose it for years in the lexicon of the place, just talking about, oh, that stupid biofuels plant that went in, and it's just really, we never liked it. Well, they never spoke up about it either. This is very common. So what can a community development practitioner do? The past couple modules were designed at getting you accustomed to just that. What you do is you start to engage these contradictions and do it in as public of a space as you possibly can, right? So what you're doing here when we're talking about issues of, for example, tax fairness, or whether or not we're going to build a plant, or how we're going to manage community change over time because of a changing population. These last few exercises were designed to give you a bit of experience in doing that and in working with others to understand the differences in perspectives that can emerge and try to go forward towards an innovative, creative, and mutually acceptable resolution to those issues. What I think is important as a practitioner in managing that process and facilitating that process is to really stay focused on the solutions and say, okay, well, we understand that this group over here, for example, doesn't want a biofuels plant. They want to protect the environment. They see this as being very harmful to the local environment specifically, even if it's a biofuel and it's more sustainable energy-wise. And you might also have economic developers that really want to, they're looking at this plant and seeing dollar signs, and maybe altruistically so. They might be saying, hey, this is jobs and revenue for the region that we need because we haven't seen anything like this before. These are two very noble and opposing goals. Can we begin to work towards a solution that incorporates the reality of conflict and different points of view, but also pushes towards a commonality and understanding? At this level we might have differences, but at a broader level, what we do is we care about the viability of the community. By going back to the intersection of phenomena, we can start to understand how different aspects and elements, for example, the revenues generated by a plant versus the environmental impact, can we start to see these things as potential advantages or opportunities that really get at the key issue, which is people want to care about their community, they want to see it thrive. I think that we can. I think that you've done a very good job in seeing that really finding good policies and good processes are about finding common ground. So instead of looking at the difference between, this false choice between environmental degradation and revenues, understanding that both contribute in ways to the sustainability of the area, and we can make concessions to say, okay, listen, we want the revenues here, but we're going to have to really put the effort into understanding how it's going to impact the local environment. Can we be innovative in how we design the plant to minimize environmental impacts? And maybe use that as an opportunity also for research, for bringing in innovation capital, perhaps, to design a plant that's never been designed before. Maybe we could look at this as a community opportunity to really set the pace for sustainable development in the region by saying, hey, instead of just building a plant, we're going to build an innovative plan. We're going to try to develop something that's new that minimizes impacts on the environment. And we're going to, and this is the key, we're going to pull in as many voices as we possibly can into the center to try to drive this process. We want to hear what the concerns are. We want to take them seriously, but we need to push towards a solution that isn't just one side getting their way vis-a-vis the other. We're looking for something mutual here. Maybe there are other low impact types of developments out there that might work better for the area. Getting those perspectives and bringing people into the process that have that knowledge is absolutely critical to finding an innovative solution. I hope that's something that you got out of the past several modules, and really what this was practice for understanding that there are differences in perspective, but guess what? You can work towards a solution. Sometimes people aren't going to be happy about it, but what I have found in my own life and in my own work has been that if you do the work of incorporating people into processes, they notice it, they appreciate it, they feel much better about the outcomes, even if they don't exactly get their way. By connecting them to the process, you have created something that's irreplaceable. You created a link to the broader community that can be relied upon again and again as other situations arise and as other development opportunities pop up. So maybe next time it won't be a biofuels plant, it'll be a new Main Street development or a streetscape or something. All of a sudden, hey, we can come in and say, well, how can we re-engage this relationship to really innovate around how we structure our Main Street. That's it. That's really all I wanted to talk about today, and I hope you're seeing those connections. And of course, if you have any questions about how deeper strategies for practice, we'll be covering a few of them later in the semester. But if you have any questions about how to really bring people into a good process and balance those intersections, those phenomenal intersections with the realities of practice and of politics, we can certainly continue to talk about that. Otherwise, I'll have those Module 5 assignments graded soon, and should be caught up on the rest of it very soon. Everybody's doing a great job in the course. Really pleased, as always. So glad to have you here, and I'll talk to you later. I've talked long enough today. Hope you have a great week. Hit me up if you have any questions. See you later.